Now, they've destroyed hundreds of ULEZ cameras across London, and the Met have promised to stop them. But the vigilante group known as the Blade Runners have vowed to continue with their protest action until Sadiq Khan scraps the ultra-low emission zone charge. Here's what they told TalkTV in our exclusive on-camera interview with one of the campaigners.
I can see how it would be viewed as being incorrect, but lawful rebellion is totally okay in my book.
Do you have a message for Sadiq Khan?
We're not stopping until you stop. That's the bottom line.
Joining us now live from Manchester Conservative MP and Minister for London Paul Scully. Also in a minute, John Burke. He, of course, the chartered environmentalist and a former Labour councillor in Hackney. Paul, let's start with you, my friend. There's no way anybody on Talk today would advocate or support acts of vandalism against ULEZ cameras. But I have to say, and I'm prepared and willing and happy to say, that just about sums up the supreme upset, frustration and disagreement with this system, doesn't it?
Well, look, morning, Jeremy and Nicola. Look, yeah, I can understand people's frustration with it. It's something I would scrap the expansion absolutely immediately, but I can't condone violence and vandalism. Why? Because you can't pick and choose the laws that you want to adhere to. And of course, what it's doing is it puts more onus on the taxpayer to pay for the replacements. But nonetheless, Sadiq Khan is clearly showing with all of this that he's not listening, not just with the overall policy, but with the implementation. I've got one camera next to me in my area, which just points at the entrance to the Royal Marsden and captures people coming in from the south of London who will have had no notice at all that they're in a ULEZ zone. It's bad implementation of a really bad policy.
But Paul, you're Minister for London. Isn't there anything that you can do in your role?
Not really, no, but because we've devolved power. So again, you can't pick, as government, we can't pick and choose. You either devolve power to the mayor or you don't. I've always talked to Mark Harper and number 10 Downing Street about the GLA Act and see if there's anything that we can do there. But their legal advice is that we can't, unfortunately. So I would like to tighten up that bit of legislation so that anything in the future can be overridden in this kind of circumstance.
Paul, you know what worries me?
No, we can't. So we need a Conservative to turn it off, basically.
Paul, you know what worries me? And I think a lot of people would agree with this. And of course, every ego zealot, like my wonderful co-host, will jump on board.
Eco-zealot, not ego zealot.
Whatever. Well, I say ego because I'm in it. All right, listen, that was here. Is it not extremely authoritarian to think that a local council might be able to decide when you can go to the shops, ration when you use the roads, and charge you money whilst watching you on CCTV for what? To protect the environment, but if you give them £12.50, they don't give a damn. I don't get it. It made them lose the election in Uxbridge. The Labour Party need to do something about this. It is not going to work, is it, Paul Scully?
No, that I absolutely agree with, Jeremy. I think you're absolutely right there. It's ridiculous because not only is it authoritarian and it's going way beyond his elected mandate in doing so, it's not even going to have the effect that a lot of people think it's going to have. And if you look at his own impact assessment, it's less than 1.5% reduction in air pollution. And now we all want to breathe clean air, sure, absolutely. But we want to do it in a proper way, that we're taking people with us on the journey, not this sledgehammer to crack a nut. And as you say, why should it be appropriate to pollute the air if you pay £12.50? Just have some proper long-term solution to this.
But Paul, there's no denying that this issue, ULEZ, net zero, etc., has been somewhat hijacked by conspiracy theorists, for example, bringing in the 15-minute city proposals, which to me seems like a very sensible idea. But there are conspiracy theorists on the right who would say that this is all part of a greater plot to trap people in their postcode zones, for example. What do you say to those who believe that ULEZ is part of a greater plan?
Well, where the greater plan actually is about per-mile road pricing, because the City Hall are already employing people to look at what comes next, the per-mile road pricing. That's different from, as you say, the 15-minute cities, which having people with the infrastructure and the shops and everything that they need near to them is a good idea. Again, as Jeremy was talking about, having the authoritarian application of that is not a good idea. So there is a concern about that, not what the conspiracy theorists say. But look, you know, if you ever do move to a road pricing scenario, it needs to be a national government thing that starts to look at it, because it needs to be a tax replacement when you don't have fuel duty because of electric cars, etc., not an additional tax. That's just another thing that we know the Mayor is looking at now.
Paul, can I get a one-line response to this? Just heard that Defence Secretary Grant Shapps has told Times Radio, our sister station, that Rishi Sunak will make an announcement on HS2 later, and that the world has changed. The money could be better spent. He said fast trains will go to Manchester and Leeds, but not on HS2. Paul Scully, Minister for London, your response to that, please.
Well, yeah, I'll see the detail later on. I've just seen Grant just nearby speaking, but I haven't heard exactly what he said, because there's two areas that I've got concern with. First of all, it needs to go, you know, when you're looking at Euston in London being the Mayor for London, the Minister for London, because we're spending a lot of money on that terminus there. We need to regenerate Camden, and people want to go to Euston, not Acton, Old Oak Common. But also, we do need to, however we do it, whether it's HS2 or something else, we need to connect up northern cities far better than we do at the moment.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul Scully, MP and Minister for London, thank you for joining us.